Welcome to the channel, Cheating Secrets. I reluctantly gave in to Tom's pressure and agreed to go to the party. He and his wife Mary were relentless, insisting that I needed to start living my life again. I tried to convince them that I wasn't ready for socializing yet, especially not among a crowd of happy couples, which I knew would inevitably be at the party. But my arguments didn't seem to impress them, and in the end, they persuaded me to come by threatening to stay with me all night until I agreed. So there I was, sitting alone in a chair in the corner, watching, just as I feared, the conversations of various happy, and unmarried, couples. That I wasn't the only third wheel at the party, but I was probably the only one not trying to connect with someone else, or even with one of the married couples present who were known to be involved in that kind of thing. I'm not judging them. I'm just telling you how it was. Shortly after we arrived, someone handed me a beer, and I was still nursing that same bottle an hour later. By that point, it had grown quite warm, and I probably hadn't taken a sip in the last 30 minutes. From time to time, people came over to say hello and ask how I was doing. I did my best to hold a conversation, though we mostly talked about them rather than me. I was never my favorite topic, and now, even less so. These mostly harmless conversations eventually came to an end, and my acquaintances would leave to find someone else to talk to, and I'd lean back in my chair again. It was around this time, about an hour after I arrived, that she walked in. I noticed her immediately and hoped she hadn't seen me. I quickly got out of my chair and, after a bit of searching, found Tom in the kitchen talking to some other people whose names I knew, but little else. Finally making the rounds, "Henry." "No." She just walked in. "We need to leave." He knew exactly who I was talking about. "Why do we have to leave, Henry? We've only been here an hour. You damn well know why we need to go." "Sorry, buddy, but I'm not leaving, and I'm certainly not going to try to convince Mary to leave either. You don't have to leave for good. Just drive me home and then come back. We're not leaving, Henry. You just need to find a way to deal with her being here." "You know I can't do that, Tom. I thought you were my friend. I've been your friend since 9th grade, and as your friend, I'm telling you it's time to face your fears. You both still live in the same neighborhood, so you're bound to run into each other now and then. You need to find a way to handle it, and tonight is the perfect time to start." Damn. I just wasn't ready for this. In any case, I couldn't have had a good time. After the divorce, I lost the desire to socialize much, and tonight my heart felt anything but calm. "All right. Just text me when you're ready to go, and I'll meet you outside." "What are you planning to do, hide?" He laughed, but quickly went quiet when I answered. "That's my current plan. It's a big house, and the second floor isn't being used. Just let me know when we're leaving." Tom just shook his head as I turned to leave and head upstairs. I glanced back quickly and saw that Connie was engaged in her own conversation with someone, so I slipped through the main room and went up the dark staircase, finally taking refuge in the guest room of Pete and Stella, the party's hosts. I pulled a chair up to the window and opened the blinds to look out into the night. It was a clear evening, and the moon was shining brightly in the sky. The moonlight, along with the surrounding light pollution, made it hard to see many stars, but a few were still visible. Yes, I felt like a coward, hiding out up here the way I was. But the divorce had hit me hard. I had always believed I would spend the rest of my life with a certain Constance Alicia Zimmerman, and I had always believed she loved me just as deeply as I loved her. The fact that I had been wrong on both counts wounded me to my core, and I still hadn't recovered, even 16 months after the final divorce. I wasn't really watching the clock, but it felt like a long time had passed, and I was waiting for a message from Tom saying it was time to leave. I knew my phone was working fine, but that didn't stop me from checking it every couple of minutes, just in case. I wish I could tell you some amazing story about how Connie and I met, but it was all very typical. We lived in the same dorm during our freshman year of college and met at some kind of group meeting. Neither of us was looking for anything serious at the time, so we were seeing other people as well. But by the start of sophomore year, everyone else had just faded away. No one made us as happy as we made each other. And from that point on, it was just me and Connie. Until it wasn't. We had been married for 4 years when I discovered that the things I believed to be true were not true at all. I was working hard, sometimes from early morning until late at night, and sometimes spending 2 or 3 days on the road when needed, but we wanted to buy a house and start a family, so it felt worth it. I kept a photo of Connie in my wallet to look at whenever I started to waver, and it always gave me strength. I missed that. I missed her. I didn't hear the bedroom door open. I was lost in thought, watching the stars flicker in the sky, that I thought about how this would have been one of those nights when Connie and I would sit by the public pool, lounging in deck chairs, sipping drinks, and talking about our future. It was almost funny. And even when I heard her voice, part of me assumed it was just a memory rather than reality. But it was real. It's a beautiful view tonight. To my surprise, I didn't flinch or turn around. I knew who it was, and looking at her was too difficult. Not as beautiful as you, Connie. Her voice faltered for a second. She hadn't expected a compliment. You shouldn't say things like that, Henry. You're giving me hope. I didn't answer, I just kept staring out the window. She went on. So, you came up here to avoid me? Yeah. Do you still hate me that much? I never hated you, Connie. I hated what you did. But I never hated you. Then why come here and hide? It hurts too much to look at you, to see you and know you're no longer mine. That was your choice, Henry. I told you I didn't want a divorce. I didn't even sign the papers. You had to go through the entire waiting period. I told you I'd never sign anything that would separate us. That's where we disagree, Connie. From my point of view, it was your choice, not mine, and you made it when you decided to sleep with Mark. She took a deep breath and maybe even sobbed a little, but when she spoke again, she had regained her composure. I suppose that's a fair conclusion. Speaking of Mark, I didn't see him arrive with you. I was never with Mark, Henry, at least not in the way you mean. I haven't seen him since you walked in on us, and I only spoke to him twice on the phone after that. I never loved him, and I told you that. But you had sex with him. Yes, I did. I'm obviously not going to deny that. You were working so much, so it was my fault. No. I'm just trying to explain why I made the wrong choice. It was entirely my fault. I was lonely, and I missed you, and Mark said the right things. He fixed the garbage disposal while you were, well, wherever you were at the time. He kept me company when I needed someone. Kept you company. That's what you're calling it? Yes, Henry, because that's what it was, at least at first. And yes, he was a good-looking guy, and I was attracted to him, but no more than to any other guy I've ever known. But he was there, and that was all the advantage he needed. He wanted me, and I gave in to him, to my everlasting shame. And you can't say. It's called trust, Connie. I trusted you not to do that to me. I know. I meant to say that I really enjoyed it, and since you didn't know, I figured it didn't affect you, or us. So I did it again, and that time, you walked in on us. And even then, the second time wasn't as good as the first, though it was still decent. But not good enough to be worth losing you. You don't expect me to feel sorry for you, do you? No, Henry. Like you said, I made a choice, and now I have to live with the consequences. I don't expect anyone to feel sorry for me or for the choices I made. I didn't know what else to say at that point, and I suppose she didn't either, because there was a long, awkward silence. She was so quiet I began to wonder if she was still there, so I glanced over my shoulder. She was, looking at the floor and dabbing her eyes with a tissue. Damn, even now, she was as beautiful as ever. I turned back toward the window. So, are you seeing anyone, now that things didn't work out with Mark? No. I've been on a few dates, but nothing came of them. You? Just working. No dates at all. Lately, I haven't felt particularly warm toward your gender. Henry, turn around and look at me. I'd rather not. Why not? I already told you, it hurts too much. What do you want from me, Connie? I want you to look at me. Please. I turned and found myself face to face with the love of my life, and the most beautiful woman, at least to me, who had ever walked the earth. I looked her over from head to toe. She was wearing a short black skirt and a royal blue blouse that was mostly modest but had a front slit revealing she wasn't wearing a bra. I suppose my eyes lingered there a little too long, because she noticed and pointed it out. No, I'm not wearing a bra. Some things never change. Connie always had a sense of humor about her appearance. She used to joke that she could easily pass for a teenager, and there was some truth to that. She rarely cared much about fashion, favoring comfort over style, and only dressed formally when the occasion called for it. I'm going light today, she said with a playful tone. I looked into her eyes. There was a teasing spark in them. For a moment, it caught me off guard, but then I started wondering why she'd chosen that particular outfit tonight. Dressed like that? Who's it for? You're silly, she smirked. Oh come on, Connie. You expect me to believe this was just coincidence? That you just happened to show up looking like that, not even knowing I'd be here? You really think I'm that naive? Henry, I knew you'd be here, she said, stepping closer. Why do you think Tom and Mary were so determined to get you out tonight? And how do you think I knew exactly where to find you hiding? My jaw dropped as I realized the scheme that had lured me into this emotional trap. They had really gone out of their way to make sure I came tonight. On other occasions, they had tried to get me to go out, and I always refused, and eventually, they gave up. But tonight, they wouldn't take no for an answer. So this was all just some big setup. For what? What on earth do you want from me? I want a chance, Henry. A chance? What do you mean by that? I came here hoping for two things. First, I want you to take me upstairs and be with me. Call it making love, call it what you want. No strings attached. You're the only man I've ever truly loved, and it tears me apart every day knowing you weren't the last man I was with. I want this. I need this. I want to feel like I still belong to you, even if it's just for tonight. I couldn't dismiss the plea in her request. But I doubted it could really be as unconditional as she claimed. And the second thing? I want another chance. If you want to be with me tonight and have that be the end of it, I'll understand, it's okay. I don't want that, but I'll take it. I'm still the woman you once fell in love with, the one you asked to spend her life with you. And maybe now you've grown a little wiser and more mature, but I believe there's still something between us. So I'm asking if we can try again. I'm not asking you to take me to court tomorrow and marry me all over again. But you still love me, I know you do. And I still love you more than anything. I made a mistake, yes. But I think it would be a tragedy to destroy what could still become a beautiful marriage because of it. I walked up to her until there were only a few inches between us. We didn't say a word, just looked into each other's eyes. In that moment, everything was understood without speaking. I touched her hand, and she shivered slightly, as if her whole body responded to the contact. Did you get ready for this meeting? I asked with a soft smile. I knew you'd be here, she replied quietly. And I wanted you to feel how much I've missed you. She stepped closer, and our lips met in a kiss that instantly took us back, to a time when everything was still whole. Her touch wasn't rushed, just sure, full of longing and memory. We moved together in sync, as if we had never been apart. Her clothes slipped to the floor with ease, and soon my hands were tracing familiar curves. We moved to the bed and lay down side by side, savoring the silence, one that carried more meaning than any words could. We became one again, bodies, breath, desire. Later, lying together, she whispered, "It's been so long since I felt like I belonged to you." We lay in each other's arms, sharing warmth, memories, and that rare moment when time seems to stop, and everything broken feels whole again, if only for a while. Thank you, Henry. You'll never know how much this meant to me. Is there a chance that, well, you know, the second thing? I'm still not sure about that, Connie. But let me ask you something, did you drive here tonight? Yes, just in case, if things didn't go well and I needed to leave. Then I think we should talk about it a little more. But I believe we should do that back at our apartment. Our apartment? Well, technically it's mine now, until we bring your things back. You're serious, baby. Please don't play with me, because if you don't tell me you're joking, I'm showing up at your door with my stuff tomorrow. I'm completely serious. I'll even help you move in. But we still need to talk about that second chance. I smiled at her, and she smiled back. Finally, everything felt right again. I had never stopped loving her, never stopped wanting her. We lingered there for a few more minutes before we managed to get up and find our clothes. We walked out of the bedroom hand in hand. Just before we left, I spotted Tom talking to a couple of people at the bottom of the stairs. I walked over and whispered in his ear. You bastard. I'm never going to forgive you for this. He just turned and looked at me, then at Connie standing beside me, and then back at me again. Yeah, I'm sure you will. That'll be a terrible punishment for me. Are we still going bowling tomorrow night? Yes. Bring Mary so we can play mixed doubles. Sounds good. Let me know if you need help getting Connie's things back in place. I turned and looked at him. How the hell did he? I know you better than you know yourself, damn it. Just call me, and we'll get her stuff moved. All I could do was smile and nod. I took Connie's hand, and we walked to her car. Thank you for being with us. And if you're one of those who watches silently, just leave a like, it helps new stories come to light.